maybe 15. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's probably pretty low. Like 10-15% of the population is going to see the shady stuff that we're doing, that we're really manipulating. But there's a large part of the population that's either won't see it or won't really care to do anything about it. And even within that 10 or 15%, there's going to be a small percentage of people that'll really speak out to other people, try to inform people about it. They just haven't figured out they can do whatever they want at this point. Not to sound hopeless or anything, but
no, I know what you're talking about.
I don't put my hope in the arm of flesh anyway.
So the term Pearl Harbor is being used all over again, Western media, to justify the Israeli invasion of Gaza. But perhaps we should stop and think about how both of those events came to pass. Both of those events, something shady happened. In both situations, we knew about these events ahead of time.
Well, I'll hit record in a minute. Don't worry about it.
It already said recording in progress.
I was trying to lie to you so you wouldn't be nervous. All right, mate. Hey, I want to show you something. Listen to this.
Have we officially witnessed the deployment of laser weaponry onto the battlefield? Israel's Iron Beam is a system that uses laser weapons to shoot down projectiles fired at Israel. Israel's Iron Beam is a real system and is a very expensive system that has been in development with the American military for quite some time. Laser weapons are a real thing. Directed energy weapons are something that will be seen on the battlefield, but we haven't seen them yet. But here are videos from Israel shot allegedly last night showing a laser-like beam shooting down rockets. Does this mean the Iron Beam is now officially in use on the battlefield because Israel is at war? The Israeli Defense Force says no, this could just be a lens flare, also saying that one of the videos going around is from a video gameplay. But the Iron Beam very much still exists. You're entering a brave new world, whether you like it or not. Laser weapons are here. Have we officially...
What do you think about that?
So is it an actual laser beam shooting in the sky? That's what it looked like. Or is it laser guided?
Did you hear, but you heard the video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So it does exist. It does exist. But they're saying that the footage or the video was what could be a video game. But Israel does have what do you call it? Direct
energy weapons?
Energy weapons. Yeah, dudes. They have it. That's crazy.
And so they just vaporize missiles as they come into the Iron Dome?
But when the angels come, they're gonna have stronger lasers. Right? Or they're just gonna do sonic booms. Boom. Right? Raise their right hand and do a sonic boom and knock a whole military out. All right, but before we get into that, I want to show you this. I think he's Amish or Pentecostal or something. No, I don't think Amish would dance like that. I think he's but
wait, what's happening?
Jedediah kicking it Old Testament. I don't know. He does that when he's praising God. It's like a church or something. Let me see if I can find Jedediah again.
I just learned what the sea walk was the other day.
What is it? What he's doing?
It's just a way to walk to music, I guess.
All right, now to the real stuff right here.
He So shortly before we came on the air, we did get new updates just a few minutes ago that shelters in Gaza have run out of water. So this we want to bring to you. These are just a few pieces of breaking news we're getting here. Just off the start of the show. So water runs out at UN shelters in Gaza, and medics are fearing for patients as, of course, this Israeli ground offensive looms. And also, we just got word a few minutes ago, shortly before we started, that Israel has bombed the Rafah border crossing. This is incredibly important. As you can see here, this is the border crossing being attacked. Now, this has been attacked multiple times over the past week. On Tuesday, it was attacked a couple of times, and that was confirmed by the Israeli press. So this is not a conspiracy theory. This was the Israeli press confirming this. The Rafah border crossing, of course, connects to Egypt, and they bombed there twice on Tuesday. So basically, sorry, no food, water, or supplies, any kind of aid from Egypt is not going to be crossing that border. Infrastructure is not there.
Okay. I've got some mixed feelings, not mixed feelings. I don't care who started the war. Like, I don't know who started the war. It could be rich bankers. It could be Benjamin Netanyahu, for all I know. It could be the new world, the globalists that want to, they want to start the sustainable development in, I don't know. It was like 3 weeks ago, I guess Benjamin Netanyahu was showing his plans for how he wanted to make Israel and the Gaza Strip and the Arabs live peacefully together. It was almost like an agenda where they were going to. It reminded me of the guys that showed the plans of their smart cities right before the Maui fires happened. It was weird. Anyway, I'm not saying that happened though, but Israel, let's just say on what we can see and what we do know, Israel has a right to defend themselves against Gaza. They're done playing games, apparently. So how do you feel about them bombing the border there, the pass into Egypt, or from Egypt into Israel? I mean, and there's no food and water coming through now. But it's like our borders. There could be nefarious things happen or come through the border, right?
Well, it sounds like a military tactic to. So first, the water's being shut off to Gaza, which from what I understand, I just learned recently that water and power is supplied freely to Gaza from Israel.
Yes.
So they're shutting that down, and then they're shutting off the supply route. So that's a pretty basic military tactic.
But this is well, they've already flooded the tunnels, their little rat tunnels. Rat tunnels, I'm sorry. Well, they're bad guys, they're rats. But they blew up. This was Egypt that they did this.
Right, the Egyptian border to Gaza Strip.
Yes. But Egypt had a bunch of trucks, apparently a bunch of supplies that were going to help feed and take care of some aid. Allegedly some aid. I think, yeah, there was some aid for the people in Gaza. But Israel's like, no, we're telling people to leave. We're taking.
So what'll happen to that? What happens to civilian aid is a lot of times military, like the soldiers, the fighters, will take that aid forcefully. So whether it's intended for military or it's intended for civilians, it'll end up in the military's hands. So
that's true.
And the people, it's really unfortunate, but the people that are in Gaza, the innocent civilians, those people, it's really likely that they're going to suffer a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that aren't able to get out of there. I don't know all of the circumstances there, but it's war is a horrible thing, and there's always innocent people that get killed, and
Yeah.
I think the Israel military has already calculated that in, that they can't supply the innocent people food and aid and starve out the hostiles there.
Right.
There's no way to do both. So, and because of what's happened,
Yeah, go ahead.
there's because of
right. I'll pause it in a second.
because of what happened to like a lot of the Israel civilians. It's unfortunate, but I think most people see it necessary to retaliate.
Well, I mean, it's not like war. This is, yeah, like you said, this is war strategy. I mean, we're at a time where we can watch everything from YouTube or millions of other channels or listen to a podcast. So we're sitting here and we're scrutinizing the war strategies, but generals have done this for this is just it's how it works sometimes. And war is not fair. And war
It's how it works all the time. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, it's how it works all the time.
All the time.
I think that's what upsets a lot of people about war, is when the realization of what really takes place when any war happens, the amount of innocent blood that is shed. That's when people start getting upset and start seeing war as kind of almost a contradiction, because, well, especially American wars are always in the name of peace, right? And in order for there to be peace, a lot of people have to die. Well,
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's true. We know as Latter-day Saints there's other ways, but in this fallen world.
And when you laughed right now,
it's,
I'm just letting people know he wasn't. My brother doesn't find it funny that people die. He's laughing at the absurdity, or the obvious. Sorry, you're laughing at the obvious, and it's horrible, but it comes with the territory.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, but you're frozen with a mouthful of water like this. I gotta take
and
okay, there you go. You're back.
Neither of us are 100% of what is. Nobody really knows what's right and what's wrong over there. Like you said, the circumstances in which the fact that guy used the word Pearl Harbor is an interesting thing. There's a lot of implications in saying that was Israel's Pearl Harbor, because we know now that Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen, so we could go to war.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but we have stories about it, right?
I think it's pretty well known that that was allowed to happen. That Pearl Harbor was allowed to happen.
Well, we didn't tell the Japanese to come over, but we kind of allowed them to fly all the way over.
Right. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know all the facts, but I think there were we could have gotten ships out of the harbor. So what I'm saying is that how they call this Israel's Pearl Harbor, there was a large window between the attacks on one of the most sophisticated borders in the world, that these guys came through with bulldozers, and then they had, not only did they get in and had time to release terror on Israel civilians, They were also able to get back out with hostages. It's just
It's
it's
weird. It's very weird
it's hard to not see
that there was
that seems
somebody paid off, or there was a mole somewhere there, and it could have very well been Hamas bribing somebody that worked.
like a stand down order, or like a stand down order, like they weren't.
Yeah, but it could also, let's just say, let's not implicate Israel right away. It could have also been Hamas paying somebody a lot of money, because they had 60 billion, or was it 6 billion? I don't know. Iran got a lot of money. I'm hearing like 50 billion now, or
6 billion.
well, it was 6 billion. Then I'm hearing like 50 billion. I don't know. But Iran gave Hamas some money. Somebody could have paid off a guard or somebody at the gate a couple $1 million to do that. You never know. Let me play this real quick.
Here you can see all of the trucks that are lined up on the Egyptian side. This is Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing. You can see the line of trucks, ambulances, water, food, aid, ready to cross. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
Now, I do have a question about this water bit, though, because we've brought you the research of Seth Siegel about how Israel has a lot of...
What? Okay, I like redacted. These guys believe what you believe. They and I don't say I don't believe it. I just don't know. But they believe this is a new world order thing happening. This is part of that this isn't just bad Arab bad Islamic extremist stuff going on. They believe that somebody else, that there's a lot more that should be implicated here. But that footage that they showed at the trucks and everything waiting, that's from like a couple days ago. I saw that.
advanced technology around water desalination, water filtration. Of Seth Siegel about how Israel has a lot of advanced technology around water desalination, water filtration, and those kind of things, and how they have never been able to peacefully coexist with the people of Gaza over water rights. Now, what they're saying is that Israel turned off the water to Gaza, but reporting showed that Gaza never actually got a lot of water from Israel because Hamas was loath to work with Israel, and they have a shallow aquifer that has been polluted by runoff from pesticides and sewage, but most apartment buildings have wells. Now, we've seen most of those civilian apartment buildings, though, have been bombed out. So did the wells go with those? Do they have any other way to tap into that aquifer? These are interesting questions that are not being answered because we're just being told that it's Israel who turned off this water as a war crime. So this is just a lingering question because it's something that we have studied collectively.
So now there are reports this could be Hamas having blocked a portion of this exit, the Rafah border crossing there, and that's why they were being targeted by Israeli airstrikes. So they're, that this was nothing more than that they were attacking Hamas, which has been blocking people from going to the border. So, but they've already hit this site multiple times. So that is the very latest on that. So as we await Israel's impending invasion of Gaza, we're also watching the United States sending another carrier strike group into Israel. And guys, this impending war is coming. This is about to happen. This is, not unlike what we saw back in, a number of years ago.
Do you think this is Armageddon, the beginning? Somebody told me today. Well, can I tell you something? Somebody told.
Yeah, might as well. We're sitting here with headsets on.
This is my brother, by the way. That's why he talks to me the way he does. Namaste. Might as well do something while you're doing nothing. Your
Uncle Rico.
Your smile is frozen. Anyway, here's the deal, Tim. Somebody told me today, and I don't know if it's true because there's lots of Mormon folklore, that the brethren have said that we need 1,000 temples before the Savior comes on the earth. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. That's just what they told. That's what somebody told me. But that could be a rumor. All right, they brought Panda Express dinner from the Relief Society people. I ordered walnut shrimp. Is that bad of me? They asked me what I wanted. I said walnut shrimp. Is that more expensive? I don't know. Anyway, what was I
It's all
saying?
the same. It's all sugar meat.
Sugar meat. You know this is recorded. All right. So
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
anyway,
Sugar Meat Express. Go ahead.
Welcome to Candy Meat Fake Asian Food. Can I take your order? Sugar Meat Asian Food. All right.
so
The only thing Asian is the panda on the sign. Sorry, go ahead.
all right. This is my brother, folks. All right. So it could be. So I don't know if that's a rumor or not. I think it's a rumor. I don't know. But there's only like 335 temples. So, but we're exponentially. Andrea gets after me when I say because it sounds like I'm saying exponentially. Well, expedite means to do it quicker. I know. All right. So we could be in, was there 3.5? Somebody said that from the time somebody sent me an email, was it Arlene, that said from the time that they shut down the temple with COVID, up until the invasion of Israel was 3.5 years. And now could we see another 3.5 years? Armageddon's supposed to last 3.5 years. The siege on Jerusalem. Is that tribulation period? 7-year the 7-year thing. Anyway, I haven't studied up lately, so I'm just
Not labeling it right. All right. Do you have anything smart to
Isn't there
say?
a prophet named David? Isn't there a prophet named David that's supposed to die in the streets of Israel?
no, that's the 2 prophets you're thinking of. David's not supposed to die. But
Okay. So I thought a lot of other stuff was supposed to happen before Armageddon.
Armageddon? Well,
Armageddon?
it depends. Some people look at some of those things as symbolic. Some of them say, are you listening to me? Some of them say,
Yeah.
see, I almost choked. Some people don't know what bantering is. They got mad at me because I was bantering with my friend Kyle the other day. By the way, Kyle's doing great. Anyway, it just depends.
Well, if they got mad at you for bantering, they're not going to be happy about you eating shrimp.
Right. Somebody's going to yell at me for that too. They yell at me for everything.
I can't believe you would come on the air breathing oxygen. Some people are that offends me.
Anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. We really don't know what the signs and wonders look like. We know basic big things though. The Savior is going to come to the Mount of Olives. We know that there is going to be a siege on Jerusalem. We know that most of the Jews are going to be destroyed, and that that the Savior and his legion and his armies will fight against those who are trying to annihilate the Lord's people. I think that's why a lot of people thought that happened in World War II. But anyway, let's hear some more of this.
In a similar situation, the United States sending these carrier strike groups into this area. So, don't you guys get the feeling, though, that we are all being played like a fiddle right now by the deep state that desperately wants a regional war here, that using any major catalyst they can get their hands on right now, they can use to justify an invasion of Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Somalia. We've already invaded 2 of those countries, by the way. So those are 2 that we've already checked off the list, Syria and Somalia. Do we just need Iran and we need Lebanon now? That's who we need to invade. Like, we've checked most of the boxes. Let's just round out the crossword puzzle.
Well, right. And so what, I've been completely interested in is who's going to be handed power.
Now, I haven't done a lot of research on this, so I don't know all their facts, like where they're getting a lot of this. I don't doubt what they're saying. What do you think, Tim?
Well, I was just thinking about him saying that we're getting played like a fiddle, and that by the deep state. And my first thought was that I think our leaders, if something nefarious is happening, our leaders are compliant with it. So it's not just the deep state; it's the leaders of our countries.
Well, yeah, that is the deep state. That is the deep state.
Well, I mean, that's not very deep. It's it's the people we elected to run the country.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. What's deep about this? Let's stop calling it another. I get your point. My brother.
Let's just call it the state.
Let's just call it what it is. Wicked people that we could see in broad daylight doing this. Right.
Yeah.
It's not a secret.
It's our leaders.
It's
our leaders.
It's Congress. Yeah.
And that's another
Republicans. It's Republicans and Democrats.
It's all of our elected leaders that are. I mean, we've already been in a proxy war, whatever it is.
Proxy war.
Right. We're sponsoring a war in the Ukraine, and nobody agreed to do that. Congress never signed a declaration of war or anything like that.
No.
They just kind of do whatever they want, and we're along for the ride.
Rep.
So,
yep, exactly.
So not only do I think we're being played like a fiddle, we've been played like a fiddle for a long time now. This is nothing new.
They're playing a whole orchestra.
Right.
Yeah, we're the yeah. So this isn't something shocking. I just want my audience to know that my brother knew what the deep state is. He and I have studied the Gadianton robbers for, I don't know, since 2017. Probably. It's been a while. And
way before COVID happened.
Yeah. And what he's saying is that it's not a secret. No, just like Epstein Island is not a secret. But do you 3 years ago it was considered a conspiracy theory though. All right, here we go.
We're to the point where they're doing it in our face. Doesn't matter anymore.
Right. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. I don't think we're gonna get through all of it.
I thought it was already sped up.
It is, but I'm gonna speed it up more.
Sounds like it was already sped up.
Get their hands on right now, they could use to justify an invasion of Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Somalia. We've already invaded 2 of those countries, by the way. So those are 2 that we've already checked off the list, Syria and Somalia. Do we just need Iran and we need Lebanon now? That's who we need to invade. Like, we've checked most of the boxes. Let's just round out the crossword puzzle.
Well, right. And so what, I've been completely interested in is who's going to be handed power from this conflict, right? And so Benjamin...
And when all the major networks and intelligence-backed newspapers start using the same talking points, something seems a little off, doesn't it? The term Pearl Harbor is being used an awful lot over the past few days from U.S. officials and Israeli officials, almost like they're reading off of the same talking points.
It's been said, but you could say that it is a 9/11 and a Pearl Harbor together for us.
If I just put this on a scale of the Americans being hit on 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, if you put those dead together,
they are telling me this is their Pearl Harbor.
Oh, their Pearl Harbor. U.S. Intelligence Stone Magazine working in lockstep on these talking points.
Lockstep,
this
brother.
Is a Pearl Harbor moment for Israel.
What does that tell you when the media is all saying the same thing? That's kind of weird. They're in lockstep.
We call that a Wednesday.
Huh?
When all the media are saying the same thing, we call that a Wednesday.
Is it?
I'm saying it. I'm saying it happens all the time.
Right. Gotcha. I'm slow. I'm sorry. My brother's quick. Okay, let's go.
And newspapers parroted this all across the United States. Just looking at this, I mean, all of these different headlines. So why were they? Here's another one that says, after Israel's Pearl Harbor, nothing less than victory against Hamas is demanded. So why are they saying this? Because we need another Pearl Harbor. We need a quote new Pearl Harbor. Those aren't my words. Those are the words straight out of a neocon think tank playbook in Washington, written in their own blueprint documents from the year 1998. It was a blueprint for how to catalyze the world into action. Now, this think tank is called the Project for a New American Century, a think tank we've profiled extensively here on Redacted in the past, warmongers as they are. And as Zero Hedge explains, the Project for a New American Century was made up of the worst of the worst warmongering neocons you could think of. Donald Rumsfeld and Paul Wolfowitz, John Bolton, all of these clowns would, of course, go on to serve the George W. Bush administration. And their pre-9/11 plans to explode the size of the U.S. military budget once communism was no longer a threat, that was, was to find a, quote, new Pearl Harbor. That was their plan, a justification to send billions to Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, and Boeing. They wrote it all down. This was in their plans. And they got their Pearl Harbor moment, of course, right, in the form of the 9/11 attacks, a catalyzing moment.
I was going to say, what's funny about this is that they're basically saying exactly what they're doing, because we now know the truth behind Pearl Harbor and 9/11 that came out, history shows.
They're saying everything that you said, Tim. Everything. Everything. This guy let's hear. Okay, so I guess I didn't know that we knew. I know the story about how Pearl Harbor got started, but now it's factual, I guess. Well, let's hear what this guy has to say, and then we can talk about it. Tell me. Go ahead.
Just like any other, what you would call a conspiracy, that there's always going to be people, no matter how much proof comes forward about it, there's always going to be people that don't believe it. But yeah, there's enough evidence to show that, both Pearl Harbor, we'll let this guy talk about it.
All right.
And so they're basically saying this is basically the same thing. So they're admitting, I'm not going to say exactly what but you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, and it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. I mean, and this is being used. This is being used as a catalyzing moment that could turn the page away from communism towards a new threat: the Middle Eastern terrorists, guys by the name of Al Qaeda, guys that we were openly friendly with and created and funded. We used to invite Al Qaeda and his friends over to our house for beers, right? That's how cozy we were with them. Osama bin Laden was our friend. They ended up being great patsies, though, right? Taking the fall for the 9/11 attacks, the largest windfall of profits for the defense industrial complex in history, and we were able to build dozens of new military bases in the Middle East thanks to our good friend Al.
By many reports, Saddam Hussein took lists from the CIA, kill lists.
Yes.
Okay, got those.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we actively worked with them, shook hands with them. Donald Rumsfeld famously, the famous videos of Donald Rumsfeld shaking hands and hugging Saddam Hussein. So this idea that,
on 9/11, the first people that they flew out of the country were the Bin Ladens. Do you remember that on Fahrenheit 9/11? Like they got the Bin Laden family out of the country.
I forgot about that. So this is the rhetoric, right, that we're seeing now. And, I was in grad school.
I have to wonder how old she is because I read about that. Are these young? Is she a youngster? I don't know. There we go.
Cool. At the time, I remember all the.
Anyway, do you have anything to say about all that? I do. How do these guys get to keep their channel going and I don't? Actually, they do get shadow banned all the time. They talk about it. JP Sears has been shadow banned recently too. So let me announce this real quick. I am actually designing my web page right now as we speak. And because I signed up for it, got it back. I had it a few years ago. And I'm starting a podcast. I'm also uploading regularly now to Rumble. So you guys need to come to Rumble. Please come to Rumble. Even if you are a regular here, please also just follow me on Rumble. Just go over there and follow me on Rumble. And I'm going to be having exclusive video pretty soon just for Rumble where I could say whatever I want.
Oh no, I just it's interesting that they're talking about 9/11 because probably like 5 years ago that would have been a really fringy thing to do.
Oh yeah. That's what I said.
But now people are coming around to 9/11 too. How buildings don't fall. Never in the history of buildings has any building collapsed because it was on fire.
No, and before I knew about any conspiracy theories, let's see, in 9/11, I was born in 71, 81, 91, 2000, 2001, right? Yeah. I was 30 years old. I was 30. I remember when that happened. And I just remember seeing the building just kind of go down like this.
Yeah.
And it was weird. I was like, that's weird. There was a
There's
sick
a lot of
feeling.
weird stuff.
There was just
If
sick
you follow the
feelings.
money, it's pretty obvious. If you
Yeah,
follow the
the
money,
guy
and
that said that there's trillions missing. Who was that? Wasn't that Rumsfeld that said there's trillions missing?
$1 trillion was missing. Also, there were insurance claims taken out, insurance taken out on those buildings just before it happened. There was a
That
lot of shorting on the airline
that
industry.
that reminds me of it's like you don't want your mom and dad to see how many cookies you took from the cookie jar, so you just break the cookie jar.
Blow it up and blame it on a terrorist. Then they
Blow up the
found
cookie
the
jar.
terrorist, one of the hijackers, they found his ID amongst the rubble. Just like within the next day that it
Oh,
happened.
look, out of all this is what we, oh, brother. All right, here we go.
Guy's ID,
Los Angeles,
the guy that was in the plane. Anyways,
Yeah.
keep going.
All right. A lot of you know who Redacted is already anyway. If you don't, I'm plugging them.
Flags on cars. Do you remember that? Flags on car antennas, American flags.
Oh, flags everywhere.
Flags
Yeah, of
everywhere.
course.
So the equivalency of that now is flags in your social media profile, right? And so I think a lot about that because I was in early 20s, like 22, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what I should do. So I picked up one of those flags and I put it in. And I think a lot about like, what was I trying to say back then? That we are a collective America that I stand for, right? What I did not mean is that you should then survey us, tap our phones and read our emails in order to see who is a terrorist and who is not, and make major war crimes across any area.
We didn't realize, not very many people knew about Gary Allen. None dare call it a conspiracy. A lot of people said that when Ezra Taft Benson, I've talked to them, gave that talk, all of his talks, people kind of didn't really understand what he was talking about. They thought, oh yeah, the mafia, or the Italian mafia, or whatever. But we didn't know that all this was to take some of our rights away and sign away.
No, I was just gonna say that if you see our time as a pattern of what happened in the Book of Mormon, you see that the Gadian robbers weren't just this group of gangsters. They were politicians. They were wealthy people. They were elites among the Nephites and the Lamanites.
Yeah.
And like the Kingsmen. These were powerful people that wanted more power.
These are the same people that took Christ down. The same that there were cloak and daggers. I call them cloak and daggers on my program. There were cloak and daggers in the Roman Empire that were working along with the Sanhedrin, and there was just a lot of corruption.
Arab speaking country. That's not what I meant by that flag, right? And so I look at these flags, war crimes across any Arab speaking country. That's not what I meant by that flag, right? And so I look at these flags in social media profiles now and I think, can you pull that thread and get there, right? If your profile picture is Ukraine, then
I'm loading for tomorrow.
Justifying
Okay.
war powers.
Right. So Hamas, also a big piece of this puzzle. Hamas was also our friend. They had no weapons until we gave them weapons. We created them. We funded them. We did this alongside the Israelis who funded Hamas. This, of course, is well documented. Any idiot knows this by now. Israeli Defense Forces Brigadier General Yitzhak Segov explained this to the New York Times. He was interviewed in 1981. This is well documented. He was tasked at the time by giving Hamas money, funneling it through mosques. You can read the interview. It's a great interview. Where have I heard this all before? Oh, right. We use the exact same strategy with Al-Qaeda. Former Senator Ron Paul told all of us on the floor of Congress how Hamas came to be.
If you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first, indirectly and directly through Israel, help establish Hamas. Then we have an election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. You know, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? We used them for a while.
Go ahead, Jim.
What?
It looked like you wanted to talk.
Oh no, I was gonna go open my dome.
Well, to go up against Yasser Arafat, a guy who we always thought was shady. We didn't like the Palestinian Liberation Organization. We didn't like the PLO, right? So we thought of them as this is an opportunity to use them as a hedge, right? We'll fund Hamas. We'll give them weapons. They had one gun before we came into town. So
part of the narrative I see a lot of people talking about is the fact that, hey, the Palestinians voted them in, so they're guilty because they got Hamas in, but only 7% of the people actually voted them in. And once they gained power in 2007, I believe it was, they ended elections.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's the argument, right? Is that, well, you voted them into power. It's, it's the same argument that, people are making about Germany. The Third Reich, they actually won at the ballot box, and that's how they came to power. People voted for them.
Plus 50% of the population are children. They cannot vote. In the same way that historically, the Palestinian leaders who rejected the 1948 Accords that would have granted them land sharing with Israel, those same leaders did not enjoy popular support either. So
Right.
Again, what we're seeing is civilians being harmed because of the choices of politicians.
And what I'm saying is we're all being played here, guys. Like, yes, civilians are being harmed, and we're all being played like fiddles, being forced to take sides on social media. What flag do you represent?
Now, I'm not saying that. Okay, I got to say something here, though. I also don't believe that these people are wizards and just know everything exactly the way it is lined up. I think a lot of these ideas are just ideas that they have too. I think some of them are real, but I think you can get too caught up too and just keep and saying that the good guys are really the bad guys. The good guys are really the bad guys. The good guys are really the bad guys. And it just keeps going and going. I believe the Constitution is still good. I believe that Congress is still supposed. Our government was created to run properly. Or are we just another Rome? No, I know the Constitution was inspired by God. But have we become another Rome?
In what way? I mean, have we become another Rome?
I mean, are we really the tyrants? Well, it's not just our politicians, it's other world politicians and non-governmental organizations, shadow governments, and shadow leaders. So it's crazy. But I don't know if these guys have the full picture either. I think they're hitting bullseyes a lot in several. They've made several points that are probably factual, but that doesn't mean Hamas isn't evil. That doesn't mean that when I look at, I don't know, this is a complicated one. It's complicated, man. It is Are we going to find out someday that the good guys were the bad guys and the bad guys were the good guys? I don't know. Or the people of Gaza, have they been played like a fiddle? Yeah. Hamas, have they been rallied?
Well,
have they been, were they conjured up and created and propagandized and brainwashed to, we know that what's his name? John McCain helped, what was it, Al Qaeda kind of create that. Didn't he have some pictures taking
the actual people that are doing the killing for Hamas? They get paid to kill Jews. So they're making money to do that. And I mean, to say that, well, they have to make a living somehow. It's it's really, the water's definitely muddy. Nothing's plain and clear.
Right. All right, let's play this.
Behind the scenes, these deep states are running the show, doing all of the things and pulling all of our strings. So the term Pearl Harbor is being used all over again, Western media, to justify the Israeli invasion of Gaza. But perhaps we should stop and think about how both of those events came to pass. In both of those events, something shady happened. In both situations, we knew about these events ahead of time. We knew about Pearl Harbor ahead of time. Just 3 days before December 7, 1941, Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt was warned in a memo from the Naval Intelligence that Tokyo's military and spy network was focused on attacking Hawaii. Did nothing about it. And that's just the tip of the Pearl Harbor iceberg. We don't have time to get into all of that tonight. And don't get me started on the knowledge we had, of course, on the 9/11 attacks. We've done whole deep dive videos here on and interviews about the 9/11 attacks and how the hijackers themselves simply couldn't have taken those planes and smashed them into the World Trade Center towers and the controlled demolition of those buildings on top of all of that. Building 7. Can we get into all of the details? No, we don't have time. So how the hell did Israel magically fail to stop this? Steve Bannon had an interesting take on this whole Pearl Harbor 9/11 conundrum. Listen.
The Israelis are calling this a combination of Pearl Harbor and 9/11. We still don't have the truth on Pearl Harbor or 9/11. Let me just be blunt about that. and I've gone through every document, every commission. I think they had 6 or 7 on Pearl Harbor. IDF's intelligence operation, I think, is pound for pound the best in the world. Then you have Mossad. Then you have the CIA. We have 17, you have NSA. It is impossible. This thing, it was a military operation on land, sea, and air with 5,000 missiles, paragliders. It's over a geographic. They were all the way from Tel Aviv to Gaza. This took months. The Wall Street Journal said months, I think years, of planning, logistics, recruitment, training, finance, and people don't talk about this. They had Palestinian journalists embeds. There were Palestinian journalists embeds. This is a full. This was like us going into Iraq in 2003. It is impossible for the intelligence apparatus between the United States and not just that, the Saudis and UAE. Their intelligence apparatuses work with the Israelis and work with the United States. It couldn't have happened. It's impossible for it to happen.
Impossible.
Yeah. Something I've been fixated on because I remember so clearly.
Yeah, there was a lady that a Jewish lady that worked in the IDF, and she said it's impossible for anybody to get past that gate. Impossible.
Right. Not only get past once, but get back out with hostages. That's what I was saying earlier.
Right. And you said they actually took the time to dig with some heavy equipment.
Yeah, they had bulldozers.
Crazy. But it could have been a mole. It could have been somebody that got paid off on the Jewish side to let them in, the Israeli side.
I don't think it's that vulnerable where just one corrupt
guy
could.
Right. I think
and
they
plus you have to think about not only them getting in, but the slow response. 6 to 8 hours before somebody got there. That's insane.
Right. Okay, here we go. Let me back up a little bit. This is almost over. I think we can get through it.
Impossible.
Now, something I've been fixated on because I remember so clearly a 60 Minutes piece from 2006, I believe it was, and I've been searching for it online and haven't been able to find it, where
Maybe
Israel,
they took it down, by the way.
They have, in fact. I've had a couple conversations with Google Bard. We've been searching for it. My best friend, who I like to argue with about war politics, Google Bard is Google's Chat GPT competitor, and it is not there anymore. So if anybody can find it in a sleuth newsroom, I would love to see this. What they said to Scott Pelley over 15 years ago, I believe, way more than that, was that Israel can have their Air Force airborne within 90 seconds of a threat. They said this to 60 Minutes, and I can't find proof of it, but I remember it. It's up here, so help me find it, that within any threat, they can be airborne in 90 seconds. So why did the attack on October 7th take hours? Why wasn't anybody able to be in the air in 90 seconds?
Right.
Well, and I watched a lady who did an interview that said that even if a cat can literally trigger the alarms over the border, a cat.
Right.
So if they're getting triggered by cats.
No, she said a cock. Well, one lady said a cockroach. A cockroach could trigger it.
And we're to believe all these people just flew in on paragliders and
right. Well, and I think
military in the world.
And the fact that Palestinian journalists were embedded and there was no communication, there was nothing picked up at all. I mean, come on, we're not stupid, right? We're not stupid. We know. And so you can see this all unfolding here. Of course, they don't want to stop this. They didn't want to stop. Why would they want to stop this? They needed a Pearl Harbor moment. The United States needs a Pearl Harbor moment. They need this. We need these events in order to destabilize and control the Middle East. General Wesley Clark explained a few years ago how he saw these documents, these specific documents that we're talking about here, that laid it all out in black and white on their plans for the Middle East. Classified documents. Listen.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me.
This is almost over, so just watch it with me real quick. It's almost over.
And he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So
I want to say something real quick. I used to loathe this guy when I was the Patriot, waving the flag. You weren't that young. What were you, like 20, 23 years old, Tim, when 9/11 happened? And I was 30, 24. Yeah. Okay. We were patriotic. We were rally around the flag kind of guys. Everybody honk your horns, bumper stickers. Let's remember the guy peeing on Osama bin Laden, stickers on the windows. The American flag got so popular, people were buying American flags. Like they would sell out.
They had they had the home shopping network with like the Super Patriot pack that had like 65 American flags, all different sizes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I didn't what's his name? General no, doggone it. What's his name, Tim? I forget everybody's
I don't know.
name. Anyway, I didn't like him. I thought he was a traitor. Now I listen to him and I go, this man was informed. And he was, anyway, here we go. He knew what was going on.
Decision, we're going to war with Iraq. This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, we're going to war with Iraq. Why? He said, I don't know. He said, I guess they don't know what else to do. So I said, well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda? He said, no. He says, there's nothing new that way. They just...
No, Bush was fighting his daddy's war.
Made the decision to go to war with Iraq.
I don't think it was even that. I think it was, everyone's probably telling me to shut up right now. I don't think it was even that. I think it was following the plan that his dad was following to globalize the world. It's all in the plan. It's all in the works. And the resource grabbing and all of it.
He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later. And by that time, we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today. And he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran. I said, is it classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't.
This is not funny.
The audience thought it was funny.
I don't like the laugh track on that, Clayton.
It wasn't a laugh track. It was a live audience. But yeah, so he says, I don't show it to me. These are the countries that we're going to target. Does it sound familiar? What's actually happening? And all of the rhetoric, of course, about Iran over the past 48, 72 hours. So get ready. Something big is coming. Do you feel like we're being played like a fiddle? I do. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Lovely Lee here in the chat, I want to comment on here. Lovely, I don't know if that's a woman or a man.
Love Lie
says they have not run out of water and it's on again, which they do. Okay, so I didn't say the water was turned off. That maybe you misheard me, but I was specifically speaking about the shelters had run out of water. That's a report that came out shortly before. And by the way, that was already a big concern over the past 72 hours. So these are the reports at this hour. But
and we specifically spoke about the infrastructure of water inside Gaza, making questions. So we're questioning reporting just like you do.
Right.
So don't call me a liar.
Well, I want to say, from what I understood, they were only getting water from Israel 4 days a week, and they had big reservoirs on top of buildings that would actually hold the water for the days they weren't getting water.
Yeah.
So
again, most of the reporting in the West Bank, they have a water authority, and in Gaza, they have wells. They mostly have wells. And Israel has come to them in the past and said, we'd like to recycle your sewage water because Israel is able to do that. They recycle sewage water and use it for farming. And Hamas didn't want to because they don't want to legitimize their relationship with the Israeli government. You can politicize that all you want, but this is what has happened. So they do have an aquifer. The aquifer is polluted with runoff from farming pesticides and sewage water. Israel has made an offer, not the government per se, but Israeli scientists, and Hamas didn't want to. So think whatever you want of that, but that is at least true. So there is an ability to tap into the wells, but how many of the wells have been destroyed, we don't know.
KN Kieran, thank you for your super chat. $10 super chat, says they killed Arafat, Yasser Arafat. I think the CIA with Mossad poisoned him. They couldn't find what poison did it based on autopsy, but yeah, Hamas was a tool that got out of control. Yeah, and it started out, I mean, it's amazing. If you go back in the history of Hamas, they literally had one weapon, one gun. And until we turned them into the beast that they are, it's remarkable. So thank you so much for watching this segment.
All right.
We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern.
So what do you think, brother? What is your concluding remarks? Is this Armageddon?
It doesn't look like it's going to de-escalate from the way things are going, and it looks like we're going to get involved. And it doesn't matter if the American citizens want to be involved or not.
That's right.
It's going to be something that they'll do. And I feel like going back real quick when they're talking about, like, when he said, we're not stupid. We know what happened Pearl Harbor. We know what happened 9/11. And we see this for what it is. When he says we, I'm thinking, who's we? Because I think that nowadays they're going to do whatever they want, even if there's something blatant about it and obvious. There's a calculation already in place that says maybe 15, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's probably pretty low. Like 10-15% of the population is going to see the shady stuff that we're doing, that we're really manipulating, but there's a large part of the population that's either won't see it or won't really care to do anything about it. And even within that 10 or 15%, there's going to be a small percentage of people that'll really speak out to other people, try to inform people about it. They just haven't figured out they can do whatever they want at this point. Not to sound hopeless or anything, but
No, I know what you're talking about.
I don't put my hope in the arm of flesh anyway. So
No, nope.
I know that there's a lot of people that get worried and I've listened to like even podcasters saying that they're worried about, they wake up scared about nuclear war and big calamities happening in the world. Going by what your guest Richard Draper said, which I really enjoyed that podcast. He said that things aren't going to get better. They're going to get worse. And that's according to scripture. So we just have to prepare ourselves spiritually and temporally for things that might happen, and the things that are going to happen and things that might happen. When I say prepare ourselves spiritually for things that are definitely going to happen, prepare ourselves temporally for things that might happen. Meaning like having water and food storage and things like that. But like the prophet tells us that all of the answers to our concerns in this world, every answer we need, every solution to a problem that we're having in this world, the answer is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen. And think celestial. I think that's why I had a guest on today. I'm going to put that out soon. Think celestial goes miles and miles endless. It's an endless, the simple phrase think celestial is what we need. It's what we needed right now. And it covers everything. It just covers everything. All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Love the taste of